Hello everyone, today I will be reviewing the Stanley Parable video game and showing off this Lego mock I created based on it. To start, I will be reviewing the Stanley Parable today in honor of it getting a console release early this year. And what is the Stanley Parable, you might be asking? Well, it's a narrative game where your choice influences the story, and that's what the mock is based on, one of the choices. So I'll get to that when I get to what it's based on. So, history about the Stanley Parable. It was originally created as a mod to Half-Life 2, and it was free, and that was in 2011. And in 2013, it got a full game release. And this year, it's finally getting a console release. So yay for not having to wreck my family's desktop to get the game. But moving on to the game itself, that tells the story of a man named Stanley, if you couldn't guess, who works in an office building with the most boring job ever. No one would find it exciting, except for, of course, Stanley, because he works there. But one day, his coworkers have disappeared, and he must find out what happened to them. So the game starts with you in his office, and there are many different endings to this game. I'll do a quick review on all of them, but I won't go into it too deep. The first one you can actually get right away. You can actually choose to close your office door, and the narrator of this game, who is beautifully acted, by the way, will say that you couldn't handle the pressure of making a choice, so you just decide to wait there, and then the game restarts. The second one is also close by. It's kind of a long one, but basically you can't jump in this game, but you can crouch, and if you use your crouching correctly, you can go out of a window that has this narration about how witty the game is, and an option choice of whether or not you're tired of a gag that's going on for this ending. And you'll just have to restart the game, even though that counts as an ending, though. Now, moving on, there are no more endings that close. So you basically go through a couple of office cubicles, and then you kind of go to where the mock begins here. There's supposed to be another room door, but I didn't add that. And then there's this hallway right here with two doors, and this is basically the main integral part of the story that really decides where you're gonna go. Because you can't go back. Well, you can kind of go back in one, but that's something we'll get to. But this is basically your big decision time here. Which way are you going to go? I do want to make a few notes on the mock here. These doors are meant to be the same color. I couldn't find one. Couldn't find another. And the left door is kind of loose. And I also meant to get two more of this piece right here to go in these places right here. Also meant to get another door over here, but that's okay. That's kind of why I wanted to hold off on this video, but I figured I should do it. Moving on, there are several, not as much, I don't think as much, as if you pick the right door, but going through the left door, you'll, go through, to the meeting room of the office, but, yeah, it won't find anyone there either. So you're going to go up to your boss's office. You can pass this place called the broom closet, which isn't an ending, but has some dialogue about how crazy you are if you step into there, because you can step into it. But, then when you get to the staircase, you can either go up or down. There's one ending if you go down where you basically kind of go insane, and then the story shifts gears to a woman named Mariella, who finds Stanley dead on the sidewalk. And, yeah, she realizes that he's crazy. And if you go up to your boss's office, then you could get several endings. And you have to be very good, precision. You have to have good timing with this. You could, as you walk into your boss's door, as you walk into the door to the boss's office, if you step right out before it closes, then the dialogue from the narrator is interrupted, and you can go all the way back to the office right next to Stanley's, and you could just enter this launch pod. I think it's supposed to be like a way to save yourself from another ending, which I will get to soon. And if you go and type into the keypad the code 2845, there are several options, like if you just type random numbers, or if you type the number before he's done talking, the narrator will have different things to say. And basically, you can open the fireplace that Stanley's boss has to reveal a secret elevator, which you take down to something called the mind control facility. But before I get to that, because you can get two endings, there is a place labeled escape, which should lead to your death, but it doesn't. It actually leads to this sort of museum, which basically has like the development of the Stanley Parable, and then you're returned back to the crusher that was supposed to kill you, and you get a new narrator during the museum because apparently the narrator died, and you die after visiting the museum. But going back to the mind control facility, you discover that I guess the boss and any of the higher ups have like this mind control machine that basically gets the workers to like their job. And the narrator says that Stanley will destroy it. Now, you go find the button to turn it off, but there's also another button which you can use to take control. Now, if you turn off the machine, that means no one's going to be mind controlled again. You're going to be free, but the narrator is going to say these things about their other mysteries, like what happened to your coworkers, how were you able to get free from the mind control, and that's basically an ending. That's basically the true ending, where if you obey the narrator, everything. Now, the other ending you get from here is if you actually decide to turn on the machine, which the narrator's like, okay, you did what you weren't supposed to do. Now I'm gonna kill you by activating a bomb or something that's supposed to wipe out because you didn't have the proper DNA identification. And he just tells you he basically erased the coworkers, and that this is one of several possibilities. Yeah, it's kind of weird to see him like that, because it's kind of weird to see the narrator like that, because he's also kind of nice and a little sad in other endings. But moving on, if you shift gears to take the right door, you will go to the lounge where you'll have some dialogue about, wow, what a glorious room. And sometimes he'll just say you're kind of creepy for staying in there for too long. But another times he'll say, wow, it's actually gorgeous. Now, he says you can get back on track by taking a detour through the maintenance section, which is just going through the first open door on your left after taking the right door. You can take that to get back to the right story, but you could also go down through the maintenance section and end up at the mind control facility early, which initiates the confusion ending, which basically the story becomes a little more crazy each time until you follow this yellow line that's supposed to know where the story is, called the Stanley Parable Adventure Line, TM. It leads you to the mind control facility prematurely as well. And then finally the narrator's like, hey, why don't we do our own story? Like, we don't need the line to control our story. We can make something of our own. So we just wander in a different direction until we find what's the confusion schedule ending, which tells you what happened for the first 4 repeats. Now, some people might think after seeing that you're still in the confusion ending, but it actually ends after you find the schedule. No more repeats after that. Back to the doors. If you ignore the narrator and just keep going straight, you go to the cargo lift, where you can get 2 endings, which both result in you jumping off. You could just go straight off, and the narrator will say something about you trying to be in control of the story. Or you can get on the cargo lift and step off real quickly, and the narrator say, "Oh, you got cold feet," and pure pressure you into jumping until you do, which is the only way to get the ending. And then you can go on the cargo lift. There are, I think there are 4 endings. No, there are at least 4 endings, but there are for sure more. First, if you just take the whole cargo ride, you could basically, there's a phone waiting for you in a dark room with your wife, and it'll just be like a little fake out thing where it turns out your wife is a robot and the narrator tricked you because you don't deserve a wife and a loving family or whatever. And his apartment becomes more and more like his office the more you press buttons that you're told to. And yeah, that's the ending for if you answer the phone. But you could do something even crazier and unplug the phone where the narrator's like, "Oh my god, you're an actual human?" And it's kind of crazy. After that, you're just shown a video about proper decision making, and you're gonna have to do like a real world exercise. So basically, well, I guess not real world. So basically, the narrator takes you back to the 2 doors here to make the right choice. And if you first take the right door and then you can go back to the meeting room, you'll find it's all glitched out. Then you'll just be dropped into another place after the narrator shuts down the game. But it kind of resets itself because the only way to get through to the ending is to go through the left door the first time. And once you do that, the office will be different, and you'll have to enter a different PIN, but this time it's voice activated, but there's no voice activation in this game, so you're kind of just waiting there until the narrator snaps at you, and then it resets again, but this time things are different. You're outside of the office, you're like where the narrator would be if he was a person, and then he gets progressively sadder as he sees you not moving, as he sees Stanley not moving. And he's like, "Okay, I'll wait. If that's what it takes, I'll wait." It's kind of sad, honestly, because the narrator can be pretty nice at times. Now, going back to the cargo lift, you can jump prematurely into this catwalk where the most iconic ending of the game will be, and another couple. So yeah, you just gotta jump and make sure you don't fall off onto the floor, which will kill you. And, you're gonna hear some dialogue from the narrator about us interrupting him with that whole thing about our wife and all. And then he says he's gonna show us something to prove that he's on our side. Which you can obey him, and you'll see, like, this basically, it's called the Zending ending. You just basically see this nice sky, like, as if it were night and stars and everything. It looks so beautiful. But that's not how you get the ending. You kind of have to kill yourself on a nearby staircase. You just gotta fall off several times. The narrator's just gonna get progressively more sad and scared. It actually really tugs at the heartstrings. And finally, if you choose the blue door instead of the red door, which is the right door, the blue door, he'll just keep intercepting you as you keep stepping through it until he's like, "Okay, fine, you can go through." It'll just have an unfinished room because he hadn't finished building this section of the map. It's a part of the game's design, obviously. And he'll just do this thing where he adds a third door to this area, and then he wants some feedback. And then he'll add a leaderboard over here, basically, and it says you're dead last and a dead rat is above you. It's funny. And then finally, after going through again, he'll just ask you to rate him on the leaderboard thing, and no matter what you pick, he'll just make you play a new game where you have to save a baby from a fire, and then eventually later a dog from Piranhas at the same time. Now, there is an ending if you somehow manage to be able to do that. It takes about 4 hours, though, so you better use console commands to skip that. But basically it says something about it being the divine essence of art and fear me mortal or whatever. But that's that ending. And if you let the baby die, he'll call you a heartless bastard, which is funny. And then you'll go play a different game that he had nothing to do with, which first is a less good version of Minecraft, where he builds a house and it says we're going to go mining to rebuild it out of diamond. Then he's like, oh, this is far more linear, far more open-ended than he had in mind, and he wanted something more linear. So he transports us to another game, Portal 2. It's just Portal. And you get to, be in the portal room, like when you first wake up. And the first puzzle, where you have to put the block on the button to get through the door, it's actually kind of a coincidence because I forgot to show off the Stanley minifigure, but the Stanley player model is actually based off a shell from Portal. And it's funny, like it's coincidental, maybe not. But after that, you're gonna just, instead of going up the elevator, the narrator's gonna leave you there, but you can go under, and you'll go to this room until you find a different version of basically the office with your office number 427, and the narrator's gonna start this dialogue about, I wonder what he found, and he's like, Stanley needs me, someone to wrap this all up when it's done, make sense of this. It's all very riveting. And that is the last of the path endings. There is another ending you can get, but it requires you to restart the game 5 times. So basically, there's computers that says awaiting input, and once you interact with them, it'll be input received. And you could do that 4 times, and the final time it'll be in Stanley's office. And basically, then you're transported to heaven. Yeah. With a bunch of buttons that do nothing. Now, finally, there are 2 things I want to call out. I don't know if you would consider them an ending, but you could if that's what floats your boat. First of all, you could actually try your hardest to fail that puzzle in the portal room, which the narrators say is actually more impressive that you failed, because this was such a simple puzzle. And this is a game, like, you can activate server cheats, but you'll be taken to a serious room. Quote the narrator, serious room, basically. The narrator spent a lot of time finding the most serious table he could find for this room. And then he says you're just going to have to spend, like, a long time in there. And then, funny, if you try to cheat while you're in the serious room, there'll be more dialogue. It's like, did I not impress upon you how serious the table was? And then he was just going to change your punishment to infinite years in the serious room. The only way is to restart. This game, though, there are other things I want to call out. That this game, it really has a lot to offer. There's, like, this menu, and you can actually enable and disable achievements, and you get an achievement for enabling the achievement. And, there is an achievement for speedrunning the game, which is completing, one full run of completely obeying the narrator in 4 minutes, with loading screen times not counting towards the speedrun time. But to do this, you're going to actually need to do a few things. You're going to need to go through the fireplace passageway and down the elevator at least once. And for the speedrun to work, you need to spawn in a different office, which will happen from time to time. It'll be shorter, and you could just as easily get to the doors faster. And basically, this game kind of demonstrates memory too. Like, for this achievement, you need the narrator to just kind of just open it on its own, and it's like, here's the door, just go. It's funny because, like, he kind of remembers, and there are these voicemails too. One about the dangers of voicemail. One where Stanley's wife calls him from another phone, like, what's going on there? And wanted to confirm a shipment of a bunch of boxes to the office. Which if you restart your game after getting that voicemail and accepting them, they'll be in the room. But it kind of blocks you from accessing the other computers and stuff. And yeah, this is actually kind of it. I know this is kind of a longer video, but I thought I should give this game a longer review because I love it so much. Even though I haven't played it, I've seen a lot of it on YouTube, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this game so much. And I'm excited, and I plan to get the new game, which is going to have more endings, more fun, more narration, which is kind of what makes the game. And I'm going to do a review on that one. I don't know if, like, there are any changes. I don't think I'm going to review any of the endings that I already went over in this video, unless there are changes, and I'll definitely be sure to review the new endings. But, yeah, that's going to be it for this review. Sorry it took so long. I didn't want to start the review without finishing this, but I think you guys get the idea. But, thank you for watching. This is Sid Dowk saying, have a good day.